Folks in South Florida did hear about an incident that happened 2 weeks ago at a charter school in Pembroke Pines that involved two students who sought permission to pray inside of a classroom. They sought permission to pray Dhuhr, and it was a video that was actually recorded that went viral because these kids had been experiencing a harassment not from students but from a teacher. That teacher having an issue with the fact that the kids were praying inside of a classroom. She interrupted them. She walked over some of the kids, and that went very violent. It upset a lot of the Florida community. Where did we come in is getting in touch with at least one of the parents to actually get the real story. It's not always that what you see brought by the media is actually what happened. And then further, we're constantly making attempts to follow up with not just this school, but all schools across not just our county, but across the state to make sure that they know two things: that students, including Muslim students, have rights, that the teachers have responsibilities, and that there's an organization like Cair who's making sure that those are being respected. When it comes to prayer in school, a lot of people don't realize that even in a public school under the U.S. Constitution and Florida law, students do have the ability. They are allowed to pray in school individually or in a group, as long as it is not disruptive, which is during non-instructional time. So that's usually either during a lunch period or after school or before school. Students do have the permission to pray, and that's what these students were exercising. So
I like that point that you made there because, as I said, I want to interact a little bit here and there.
Sure.
What an interesting point, very powerful, that students got the rights to pray in school. Now, the school cannot initiate and establish the prayer, but each one has the rights to practice their faith. Actually, that is what the Constitution tells us in America. What is freedom of religion? Freedom of religion means you have the rights to practice a religion or not practice a religion. You have both rights. So whether you're in an airport, whether you're in school, whether you're in the White House of the United States of America, you have the rights to practice your religion. Of course, you will not obstruct whatever the activities going on. It will be done with discretion, but that's a problem that people don't also realize here in the United States of America. You have the rights to practice or not to practice a religion. So those who are practicing another religion, for them to forbid you from practicing your religion, they are going against the Constitution of the United States of America, which is so important for people to understand. And that was a powerful point you made there, Brother Omar. So continue. Wonderful. I just want to elaborate a little bit on it because sometimes this is where people go off and don't know.
Of course, I'm very glad you highlighted that, Shaikh Shafayat, because really it's important for the public to know that the work that we do, and I tell people, it's not a Muslim thing. It's not like we're out here trying to get exceptions for Muslims. It's a constitutional thing. We're just fighting for the rights that are afforded to every American under the Constitution. We would do the same thing for any other person of a different religion, and in fact, we do. We don't only represent Muslims. Conversely to that, just like you mentioned that there's the freedom of religion, the government also may not establish its own religion within the public schools. So we've actually dealt with cases where people have been invited to public schools during an instructional period to talk about Christianity. We've had to get involved in those cases, and that's the other side of that picture. This conversation really is interesting, not just as it relates to the freedom to practice, but it directly into the issues that we deal with in the schools. By far, one of the number one type of cases that we've been handling this year, unfortunately, has been involving schools and school bullying. Um, I used to tell, so I joined in 2016, Cair, Florida, and what I thought I was going to be doing was just working legal court cases, and I did. The first case we litigated was against the Miami-Dade County Corrections Department because they were not providing halal meals to inmates. And we filed an action along with the ACLU. Alhamdulillah, we settled that case. That was in 2016. What I didn't realize is that after the 2016 election, well, nobody really realized it, that there would be such a high uptick in Islamophobic incidents. It used to be that CARE, we tell people we represent everybody from the boardroom, that being employment, to the schoolroom or school. It expanded all the way to now having victims' rights department because of the numerous incidents against Muslims, be it mosques being burnt down in 2016, students, kids, females being assaulted in public just because they're wearing their hijab, students being harassed to the point that it's criminal, that we've had to seek criminal penalties against some students. I will just say that I did not expect for my caseload to evolve in such a way that it became a lot more about protecting victims of Islamophobia. School bullying is certainly there, and I just want to state that this year we've had by far the number one type of case we've dealt with is school